We're back and welcome to another deep dive classic. My name is Michael and this is where we leave no stone unturned when it comes to analysing and reviewing products, and today is no exception. My first big video was the predecessor of this exact model and I was super excited, in fact I was thrilled to share this new version which is all about the Venom BlackBook 014 Phantom 9th generation. If you have seen the previous deep dive video I did a couple of years back, that was all about the 8th generation 14-inch Zero from Venom. Then this deep dive will be even more impressive when you factor in the phenomenal differences that have become apparent, and if not, check that one out as an absolute benchmark to this video we're about to go through. If you currently own a BlackBook 014 Phantom like I do, then this new one will also make a whole lot more sense. From first impressions, I could already tell that a lot of things have changed, and for those not in the loop, let's shed some light on Venom since 2010. So Venom's been crafting powerhouse notebook computers under the moniker of BlackBook, and their lineup is split into two unique families. So first we have the BlackBook Zero series, the epitome of the ultra portable technology, tailor-made for business pros who demand a lot from their computers. Then there's the BlackBook Pro series. It's like the Herculean muscle books, envisaged as a desktop substitute with next level 3D rendering prowess. And here's where it gets really interesting. So BlackBook Pros are architected and designed around the GPU, serving up graphic intensive feasts, while the BlackBook Zeros are maestros of CPU-centric performances. They're not just different, they're literally parallel universes in the realm of design and functionality. For the majority, a BlackBook Zero is the go-to, and it's the star of today's show. And not to brag, but it's also my trusty sidekick for everything from, say, Microsoft Teams meetings to juggling Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, you name it, presentations, whatever. And of course, web browsing. And it's not just about having these apps open, it's also the seamless multitasking that feels like a walk in the park. And that, my dear friends, is the magic of real-world application. And that's exactly what this review is all about. So if Venom doesn't ring a bell, let me kind of paint a picture. Years ago, whispers reached me about a team dedicated to engineering top-tier, high-performance notebooks, and that's what initially nudged me to snag on. And their battle cry is about intelligent performance. Now, this is a term that dances different tunes for different folks. For some, it's all about gaming. For others, it's work or the juggling act between the two. Then you have the document creators, the everyday productivity warriors. The definition of high performance varies across the spectrum. But here's the kicker. Doing it intelligently implies wielding skills and insights in arenas we're still navigating. Still mastering, that is. And that's the juncture where your computer becomes not just a tool, but ultimately a game changer. And that's the precise stage where a stellar BlackBook shifts the paradigm in this space. So let me loop you into a revelation that struck me many months ago, and it comes down to the design philosophy behind this computer. It's the philosophy that 1% enhancements across the board can snowball into something monumental. And it might seem like a tangent, but bear with me just for a second. So this principle echoes the trajectory of the British cycling team, which until a certain point hadn't seen one of its riders clinch victory in the Tour de France. Enter Sir David Brailsford, a man with a vision, and he proposed a relentless pursuit of nudging up performance by just 1% across all areas. Victory could be literally within grasp in half a decade is what they proposed. The strategy encompassed like the expected, like tweaking nutrition, honing bike aerodynamics, shaving off weight, boosting seat comfort, etc. And also the unexpected, like they ferreted out a pillow that offered a smidge more comfort and it became their constant travel companion. They discovered a massage gel that nudged the recovery dial up a notch, and these seemingly trivial 1% tweaks coalesced into an early victory, and a mere 2.5 years into the actual 5-year vision, propelling the team to 6 triumphant races post 2012. Now let's pivot to Apple, a behemoth cradling $1 trillion valuation. Trace the lineage from the iPhone 13 through 14 to 15, and the evolution, or lack thereof, is telling. The leaps are more like tiptoes, underscoring like a harsh truth. The larger the entity, the more it can skate by on incrementalism. And let's pivot to the iPhone performance for a moment, right? Intriguingly, This is a domain where the iPhones scarcely outpace one another. The iPhone 13 is equipped with the A15 Bionic chip, featuring a 6-core CPU and the 4-core GPU. In a twist of deja vu, the iPhone 14 houses the identical A15 Bionic, albeit with a 6-core CPU and an upgraded 5-core GPU. And as for the iPhone 15, it welcomes the A16 Bionic chip, retaining the 6-core CPU and the 5-core GPU, reminiscent of the previous year's iPhone 14 Pro. The common denominator? Well, all these models are anchored on the 4nm chips that have been Apple's mainstay for a biennium, with the successes registered only marginal performance upticks. And essentially, we're witnessing a performance plateau spanning 3 generations of that phone. While the iPhone 14 might boast a superior battery life and the iPhone 13 is more wallet friendly, the iPhone 15 nudges ahead with a slightly refined camera and the introduction of a USB Type-C port. Though, perplexingly, it adheres to the vintage USB 2.0 standard. So, if your arsenal is brimming with Lightning connectors, the iPhone 14 could probably be the best bet. The stark reality? Well, the distinctions are minimal, mostly reflected in price escalations and modest generational advancements, from models 13 through to 15. This trend sharply contrasts the philosophy of cumulative 1% enhancements championed by the British cycling team and embodied here in this computer in Venom's meticulous craftsmanship. That's exactly what they're trying to do here. So consider the leap from preceding BlackBook 14 Phantom Generation 8 to the spanking new Generation 9, and you're in for a huge leap in evolution. And it appears that being $1 trillion titan like Apple affords the luxury of minimalism. A new USB port here, a color tweak there, and voila, a brand new model. However, for the underdogs, the British cycling squad at the time, or Venom, real innovation demands relentless effort, applying that principle of 1% betterment across the board to achieve a colossal cumulative gains. Anything but just doesn't match up. But Venom takes it up a notch. They haven't just made 1% tweaks, they've catapulted performance in some areas by 30 to 40%, even upwards of 60% in some areas, resulting in improvements that can only be described as staggering. Yes, I've taken us on a bit of a sporadic or kind of scenic route to get to this point, but it's a pivotal concept that merits emphasis. Peeling back the layers, diving just a bit deeper, unveils a paradigm shift in perspective. And fundamentally, if you get the design concept of intelligent performance, then the rest of this episode will just make sense. Here it is, right in my grasp, the 9th generation Venom BlackBook 014 Phantom. And just out of picture, actually recording this video, is the 8th generation model. So my loyal companion for almost 2 years now. And believe me when I say I know what I'm talking about when it comes to spotting the upgrades. I'm literally using it all the time. And we're not just talking minor tweaks for this one, we're talking big leaps in value and also performance. So why opt for a BlackBook, you may well ask? And well, Venom has outdone themselves again in this model, and what I'm holding is one of the world's inaugural Venom BlackBook 014 Phantoms, which Venom has sent me, and my original was a purchase made from them out of my own pocket, and this new gem is set to become my everyday workhorse. And fancy one for yourself? Well, head over to shopvenom.com. They're set up for global shipping, and the real miracle here is actually the price stability, especially considering the inflation roller coaster that we've been all on. And with prices kicking off from $11,199 US, $2,099 Australian, $1,599 Canadian, £949, or €10.99 Euros, and $2,079 New Zealand dollars. And you're getting a deal in any of these 6 different currencies with free shipping via DHL Global Express. And the pricing remains consistent across currencies and regions, barring the usual fluctuations and local taxes, of course. And it's a unique global business strategy, and Venom seems to be trailblazing here in many regards, claiming a universal storefront for the entire globe and the concept they've maintained for nearly a decade. And by standardizing the prices and cutting out regional cost discrepancies, Venom ensures you're getting more bang for your buck when it comes to this computer. Now, my first BlackBook 014 Phantom was a revelation for me. I stepped in when my MacBook Air and my HP Envy at the time just were not cutting it. I needed something more robust, something versatile, ultra portable, and really something which had some kick to it, and something I could point to and say, that's the one I needed. And a truly exceptional laptop doesn't just work, it really works with you in every sense. The display, the keyboard, touchpad, ports, chassis, if one element is off, it throws the whole experience. No matter its speed, battery life, or eco credentials, if it's a chore to use, it's just gonna gather dust. Now, did my BlackBook 014 Phantom meet my expectations? Well, spoiler alert, you probably wouldn't be here if it didn't. And for sure, it's become my trusty friend, which I can take to lots of different meetings, which is fab. And I do a lot of presenting. And so this laptop's been an absolute asset to me and made it super easy to slip into whatever environment or technology environment I may be working into. So does this new iteration actually measure up to the previous potential? Well, I would say absolutely. And should you upgrade or make the leap if you're new to the game? Well, I'd say it's pretty hard to resist when I go through the further models and specs of this. The latest model is the epitome of minimalism. It's sleek, kind of regal, a delight to handle, feels really lovely, and a powerhouse of speed and capability. And thanks to a slimmer screen bezels, it's more compact, even shaving off a millimeter in thickness. Not a big deal, but it absolutely looks great. I'll delve into the nitty-gritty of why this BlackBook is a game changer in the chapters below, but feel free to hop around if you're not up for the long haul here. Now, I've also put together a quick dive review for a snapshot of my first impressions, akin to your kind of typical review which you might find here on YouTube. But true insight comes from deep dives, which require time and genuine experience with the actual product, which is exactly what we've done here. Quick, unfortunately, takes have their place, but for something as pivotal as a laptop, for something you're going to be spending a lot of time with, a more thorough analysis is non-negotiable in our opinion. Most reviews are fleeting encounters, not the in-depth analysis you get from someone who owns and especially not regularly uses the product. It's like the difference between a first date and a marriage. You need to cohabit, mingle finances to truly know someone. Full disclosure, this review wasn't paid for, but if it guides you to a BlackBook purchase, mentioning that Venom might have some perks for me. Stay tuned for a third video down the line where I'll actually share the long-term verdict after using this computer for a few more months. Now, some of you may be thinking, why did I not replace my Mac, or why did I not go with another HP? Well, fundamentally, it just came down to the limitations of both those products. I just got really fed up. You don't have the HDMI port on the side. You kind of have to take this dongle, which is a pain in the bum, where you sometimes lose it. You can't plug a normal mouse into it. You have to have these special adapters. I don't know you, but I just became really exhausted with that's the kind of what you have to do if you use these products, and that kind of Apple bubble, as it were, I was very happy to be beyond it. And the limited ability to connect external devices in particular without having to buy the endless kit was also super frustrating. And I said that before and I stand by it now. And I'm not going to talk about the Mac operating system versus the Windows, because if you're here listening to this, you're already looking for a Windows machine. And if we probably both agree that Windows is better for what we're trying to do. But be brave and make the jump if you haven't already done so. I think with the Venom product, you will not be disappointed. Now, no disrespect to HP and Dell, they of course make great machines, but I feel like they're both looking at each other a little bit like a Mexican standoff. Like, go on, make your move so I can make my move, and we can all kind of make the same small move together. It's pretty boring at this point, it's uninspiring often their designs, they're terrible for the consumer outcome in terms of when that's happening, and it's all very safe, not very innovative, all very fast for that matter, and not even that reliable, especially after the first couple of years of use. So ultimately, these multinationals don't have to try anymore fundamentally, because people buy this stuff anyway. I'm sure your company that you work for or someone like that, if you said you're buying Dell, they're not going to freak out. If you say you're going to buy something different, all of a sudden you get asked a lot more questions. And it's too hard to get any great results from these types of computers. The underdog often has to try really hard to get even the smallest result, and the underdog has to deliver. The underdog actually has to be better, has to be a lot better in fact, just to get mentioned, get a low notice, and let alone pass like a tender or something like that. They fundamentally cannot fake it or even pretend. In fact, they attract a lot more scrutiny. And as the name suggests, the BlackBook is a stealthy, cool black. And what's hard to see in images is actually the logo on this one is kind of like a softly offset grey to black that has a really stylish, minimalist feel to it. And you imagine the unit to be kind of cold initially to the touch, but actually it feels really great and very familiar once you start start to get your hands on it. The premium magnesium alloy is unlike any other so-called premium laptop. The Dell XPS is aluminium, the HP EliteBook is aluminium, as is the MacBook Pro. This BlackBook is made of the more expensive and magnesium alloy, and so it's lighter and stronger. However, as always, the biggest draw is actually the power in this unit, and it can do pretty much anything. This marvelous piece of engineering is still incredibly light, considering you have, well, more than everything crammed into it. The battery is about double the size of the MacBook Pros, the Dell XPS, ThinkPad X1, or HP EliteBook, and it still manages to be lighter than all of them. That gives you an understanding about how amazing this piece of engineering actually is. And compared to its predecessor, yeah, there is a small weight gain of 150 grams or 5.3 ounces. But who's actually gonna notice that? That's like almost your phone, right? But when talking about a 14-inch ultra portable, this type of weight change is negligible, especially when it's still lighter than its competition. So again, this is Venom we're talking about. They don't try and chase headlines like we're the lightest or something like that. Instead, they are simply committed to being the best, and that is what I love, that commitment and their unwavering commitment to that. So if that means a slight negligible weight increase to gain that much more feature, like doubling the size of the battery and increasing the performance by 50%, then so be it. And they could have, of course, put a smaller battery in and lost weight, but instead have opted to go all the way and put the largest battery you can put into any laptop and still be allowed to get on a plane, coming in at 99.8 watt-hour batteries. The BlackBook 014 Phantom multitasks like an absolute wizard. The 014 Phantom absolutely dominates what's in any other notebook, including the new M2 MacBook Pro, which still clocks in around 3,200 megabytes per second of the write speed and around 2,970 read speed, with the 014 Phantom getting close to 100% more at 7,000 megabytes per second. So why do I mention this? Well, it's because the processors haven't been the bottleneck for fast computing for a long time. And I said this before, and I'm pointing it out again. If you grab an old laptop, change the SSD, and you will have a new laptop. It makes massive differences. The type of SSD you use also makes a huge difference as well. But the average consumer simply does not know this. And this is what most computer manufacturers like HP, Dell, Apple don't publish their SSD speeds online. Let me ask you why. And your CPU, RAM, SSD will tell the story on how your system from a macro level should run by itself, though it doesn't paint a complete picture. Frankenstein machines, as I've started to call them, are which have kind of great sounding singular parts that have been mashed together. On paper they sound amazing, but in the real world they are clunky and energy inefficient. What a total waste of time. In terms of processors, Venom has stayed with Intel, and this processor is leaps and bounds ahead of the previous 11th generation Intel Core i7 processor, which we're talking about 40% more performance head to head, like for like. Venom have jumped a class up as well, going from the U-line low power processor to a more mid-powered P-line processor. Now, what's behind Venom's choice of Intel? Well, I've delved into this topic extensively in past videos, and while there's no groundbreaking update, certain aspects have become more pronounced. Firstly, to state, and I hear the AMD fans and the Ryzen processors have significantly improved and are more budget friendly. But when you stack them against Intel's Core i7 P series in terms of energy efficiency, both at rest and under heavy workload, Ryzen, in my opinion, still doesn't quite measure up. But there's more to the story than just energy stats, of course. The application, capability, system updates, and bug fixes, well, Intel takes the lead here too, making it more reliable for business in particular. And given Intel's long-standing dominance in the CPU market, their updates are more regular and dependable, tipping the scales in their favor for a more proven prudent choice. Plus, there's also the odd quirk due to differences in CPU architecture, especially noticeable when running complex mathematical computations. So if consistency between old and new experiments matters to you, Intel's your much safer bet, minimizing those discrepancies in outcomes as well. And now the 014 Phantom is equipped with the Intel Core i7-11360P, boasting a staggering, now wait for it, 40% improvement in performance over its predecessor. And it's considerably quieter as well, it's about 30% according to the specs, and the difference is audibly noticeable. Venom is committed to sticking with the Thunderbolt 4, which is predominantly an Intel perk of course as well. This feature is invaluable for connecting a plethora of devices, I certainly know this firsthand, not to mention its power delivery benefits, crucial kind of for docks, monitors, and of course more. So why stick with this particular Intel processor? Well, the P series is a step up from the previous U series. Though it's a bit more power hungry, I get that, its efficiency makes it a net positive across the board and a genuine leap forward for the computer. The 13th generation Intel Core i7-11360P stands out as a robust processor for mainstream laptops, adept at handling more demanding tasks beyond everyday use. Positioned between the standard 15-watt U series and the high-octane 45-watt H series, the 28-watt Core i7-11360P and its P series kin offer a middle ground. They consume more power and generate more heat, but if your computing needs are intensive, you might want to consider the H series found in the bulkier Venom BlackBook Pro series. On the graphics front, the integrated Iris Xe graphics processor in the Core P series CPU holds its own, even allowing for casual gaming. And it's noticeable step up from the Intel UHD graphics found in more basic laptop CPUs. On the screen here, you can see a benchmark comparison for the Intel Core i7-11360P against the other popular laptop processors. Now, something to note about this picture is that it's the most powerful processor purpose-built for ultra portables. Everything north or everything above the one highlighted are actually, they basically won't fit in anything which is lower than a 2-kilogram computer. And of course, for an ultra portable, that just doesn't cut the mustard. Now, one important thing to note about the benchmark scores is of the listed processors, they are the averages measured across various devices with these processors. So the scores and the real-world performance of the Intel Core i7-11360P and compared CPUs may vary depending on the notebook's other components, settings, cooling, and of course all the other factors. However, the benchmark results are a good indicator of the processor's performance, and it's really all in the details, as you're likely realizing through Venom's philosophy. Every element plays a part in achieving what they call the intelligent performance. And that's precisely why the Venom BlackBook 014 Phantom opts for the i7-11360P, striking a balance between mobility and of course might and muscle. Now that we might understand Venom's processor choice, let's delve into its real-world efficacy. And the truth here is the benchmark tests often vary among reviewers, or they favor certain processors under specific conditions. So real performance can only be gauged under the conditions you'll actually be using the device. Attempting to compare different benchmarks is like comparing apples to oranges due to the inconsistencies in the measurement standards. So if you're up for a debate, maybe take it to Intel, assuming the following claim holds water. Over time, software evolves to be better leverage hardware capabilities. This phenomenon is evident in the gaming console realm really obviously. So consider how the graphics of games improve significantly over the lifespan of a console like the Xbox, PlayStation. It's not actually the hardware upgrades, it's the developers honing their skills, optimizing their code for hardware they've grown accustomed to. But as I've emphasized before, I'm not keen on playing guinea pig. What matters to me and what should matter to you as a consumer is immediate performance and reliability, not being part of some big company's ongoing experiment. I don't think that cuts it. This perspective might ruffle a few feathers, I appreciate that, but don't shoot the messenger. I'm here to lay out the facts and it's up to you to draw the conclusions. People tend to fixate on the processor, in my opinion, but I argue it's not the be all and end all. Moving on to the chassis. You wouldn't judge a car's worth solely by peeking under the hood, right? The same goes for laptops. Evaluating top-notch laptops requires a holistic approach, with the case and the chassis playing a pivotal role. They're the foundation that houses every component, and just as a splendid kitchen alone doesn't make a great house, a laptop needs excellence in every room to stand out. And it's that collective harmony that really counts. The chassis material influences everything, like the cooling, the component selection, the screen, the keyboard, the quality, the acoustics, the portability, the durability, and of course the ability to actually upgrade the components inside. Many manufacturers hit certain price points by stuffing premium components into a subpar pizza box casing, and this is common in budget laptops. Even the high-end are guilty of this. Models like the Apple MacBook Pro, the Dell XPS, and the HP EliteBook rely on aluminium. It's decent, I get that, but by no means is it actually the best. So what sets the Venom BlackBook 014 Phantom apart? Well, it's crafted from aerospace grade magnesium alloy, the lightest structural metal known, offering superior strength to weight ratio. This choice allows for a slimmer design packed with features outdoing similar sized competitors like the MacBook Air. Magnesium lower thermal conductivity means components can be placed more freely without overheating the case, and it's also more malleable than aluminium, so opening new design possibilities, and also ensures the chassis is less prone to bending compared to materials like carbon fiber. Interestingly, the 014 Phantom's magnesium chassis eliminates the need for glue in its construction. So the brands like Apple, Dell, Microsoft, HP often resort to adhesive due to insufficient space for screw housing in their quest for the thinnest possible design. Reviewers often miss these nuances as they're hard to articulate, and ultimately they aren't immediately noticeable. So you need to own and use the device long term to appreciate these subtle yet crucial features. And the common practice of gluing parts or using plastic screw housing, which can detach over time, reflects these cost-saving measures at the expense ultimately of durability, serviceability, and the ability to upgrade. So Venom takes a very different approach to this. Yes, it's costlier, I get that, but the payoff is a laptop designed for longevity and serviceability, factors that contribute to a rewarding ownership experience. Ultimately allows you to keep it for longer. And it's not just about upfront cost, it's about the value presented over the device's life cycle. Venom's approach just isn't clever, it's intelligent. They aim for your BlackBook to endure, preventing it from becoming e-waste, and this commitment to sustainability emphasizes longer product life cycles and the potential for multiple life cycles of that actual product, reducing the need for recycling or indeed down recycling. In essence then, Venom's philosophy is about ensuring every aspect of their laptop is worth it, creating a product that's not just functional, but super valuable. I think it's a smart, comprehensive approach to technology, and one that considers the user and the environment. Through this, Venom's current customers indeed become their future suppliers, which I think is a pretty smart strategy. The Venom BlackBook 014 Phantom stands out for its user-friendly design, allowing for straightforward servicing and upgrades. There's no reliance on proprietary components here. Everything from the screws to the drives, battery, and the memory can be easily accessed and replaced by users worldwide. So this model takes it up a notch with its fully upgradable RAM and also SSD, ensuring your device can then evolve alongside your needs over the years. The absence of exotic proprietary connections is a very welcome relief in my opinion, and it also means that there's no solder components underscores kind of that commitment to longevity. So the BlackBook 014 Phantom sets the standard for upgradeability, serviceability, and connectivity, all at a very reasonable price point, promising years of reliable service. Despite its lightness, the BlackBook offers a surprising level of sturdiness, defying expectations with its premium feel, its unique tactile experience, neither cold like metal nor cheap like kind of plastic. It's intriguing, and it also speaks to its high-end quality construction. Now, the laptop screen is an absolute beauty, boasting rigidity despite its lightweight design and a smoothness that complements its sturdiness. Now, with over 5 million pixels in this monitor, it offers 2.43 times the resolution of a typical full HD screen on a high-end 14-inch ultra portable, making it an absolute visually stunning experience experience. And the display's brightness and clarity are exceptional, avoiding the pitfalls of overly bright screens that lead to washed out colors and also eye strain. Venom prioritizes accurate color representation and optimal contrast, ensuring a non-reflective screen that's comfortable to view for extended periods. Now, touchscreens, often plagued by reflections that kind of smudge, or are notably absent in Venom's design philosophy. And instead of settling for a mediocre kind of 2-in-1 device, each one being a little bit average, Venom delivers a dedicated clamshell notebook with an exceptional display. Not trying to double as a tablet, and for tablet enthusiasts, of course, stick to the iPad Pro that continues to lead the market in that space. Now, the slim bezels frame the perfect 14-inch screen, maintaining proportionality with the keyboard and the device's overall dimensions. Venom standardizes the best screen type across the series, avoiding the Frankenstein effect of mismatched components that compromise performance, battery life, or of course, visual quality. The result is a purpose-built device that excels in its intended use, whether indoors, outdoors, day, or night. And this represents, in my opinion, one of the most obvious improvements from the earlier version. When it comes to the webcam, it's positioned at the top of the screen. The BlackBook features the Windows Hello facial recognition, offering the most secure laptop access via biometric authentication. This system employs specialized infrared cameras and software to distinguish between real individuals and images, ensuring foolproof identification. All biometric data is stored exclusively on the device, ensuring maximum security as it neither roams nor is transmitted to external servers. With biometric data confined to the BlackBook, there's no centralized database for potential compromise. A very smart and very easy, quite a simple safety strategy. The webcam is actually on top of the screen here, so it's a welcome design choice considering the challenges laptop cameras often face due to limited space, especially with a bezel thin as this one. The previous BlackBook 014 Phantom, designed before the work from home surge, had an adequate webcam. It was pretty average, to be frank. However, the increased reliance on video calls highlighted the need to Venom for enhancement, and they've gone to town on this one. The latest model, this one, is a full HD webcam with noise reduction, offering a substantial upgrade in image clarity, ideal for the frequent virtual meetings we all do these days. The built-in microphone impresses with its clarity, effectively capturing voices from various distances during group calls. This feature is particularly beneficial given the current reliance on virtual communication platforms like Teams, Zoom, or Google Meet. If you're like me, I spend my whole life on those platforms. Located down on the lower side, the speakers project sound outward, with the sturdy chassis minimizing vibration distortions. While the previous model speakers left room for improvement, in fact, I'd even say they were pretty quiet, the new BlackBook has significantly upped the ante. By doubling the power, Venom has enhanced the audio output and the integration of SteelSeries Nahimic audio technology. A top-tier audio decoder and software further refines the sound and experience. The accompanying app offers various audio profiles for music, movies, communication, and more, along with customizable equalizer settings. This attention to auditory detail ensures a rich and clear situation-specific sound experience, marking a notable improvement in this domain and giving you the options to tweak it as you like. Venom continues its tradition of meticulous attention to keyboard quality and functionality in the new model. This latest model introduces a different approach, with keys requiring very minimal force for activation. It allows you to be very quiet and very light. This allows for faster typing once accustomed to how it feels, and the key travel is very satisfying and tactile feedback is very, very precise. Additionally, the keyboard features adjustable backlighting, which is invaluable for working in dimly lit environments. The new touchpad is an absolute standout feature, boasting 59% increase in size compared to its predecessor. Crafted from glass, its surface is exceptionally smooth to use, enhancing the user experience. The touchpad responds with a reassuring click when you press it, a significant improvement over the previous model and superior to its many competitors. Its size surpasses that of touchpads found on devices like Dell XPS, HP models, and even the MacBook Pro 14. Large touchpads, of course, can sometimes lead accidental taps or gestures. I personally haven't found this problem, but it can certainly happen. To counteract this, the BlackBook incorporates an innovative feature, a touch-sensitive circle at the top left of the touchpad. It double taps to lock the touchpad, indicated by an illuminated circle, preventing any unintended input. This feature is especially useful during like an intense typing session or when using an external mouse. The touchpad also compiles with Microsoft's precision touchpad standards, ensuring smooth and responsive gestures controlled directly by Windows. Remarkably, the touchpad clicks silently, avoiding the disturbance often associated with noisy trackpads, especially in quiet settings, mainly when your wife's sleeping next to you. So while an external mouse may provide a superior navigational experience for extended use, this glass touchpad is exceptional and ranks as the best in its class. Now, let's remember here, this has double the battery of its competitors. That's double. They upped the performance processing power by 40% and heaps better screen and webcam, and achieve this by just an extra 5 ounces or 150 grams compared to the ultra lightweight predecessor. What I respect most about Venom in this context is that rather than prioritizing the lightest label, which could have got them headlines all around the world, Venom chose to optimize long-term user experience, and the slight weight increase is barely perceptible, but the enhancement it supports are unmistakably beneficial. Remarkably, this ultra portable remains lighter than its competitors, underscoring the BlackBook's extraordinary balance of functionality and convenience. So the 014 Phantom has a massive 99.8 watt-hour battery, which is massive for a 14-inch device, let alone other computers. And it's actually the largest battery you can put into any laptop if you want to take it on a plane. So we have nearly a 50% increase in battery size, and they could have easily put in a much smaller battery that's half the size and still achieved a marketable 8 to 10 hours plus battery life, but gained the title and ability to call this the lightest laptop in the world. Now imagine that Venom didn't do this. I repeat, they CNC'd machines magnesium, gained strength and lost a lot of weight, only to put in more battery than they needed as standard. They could have also been like many other manufacturers, made it an optional upgrade and still advertised the lower weight with a smaller battery, but this would be counter to what Venom stands for, which I greatly admire about this company. People, you have to appreciate a company that has actually made one of the lightest laptops in the world and put the biggest battery they can in there just so you can own an awesome ultra portable as standard, no upgrades required. This is the biggest battery you can fly with. There is no better. And when it comes to actual battery life, this is a hugely subjective measurement. What I mean by that, it really depends on what you do and how you do it. Now, I'm told that if you choke the processor, dim the screen to where it's barely observable, turn off the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth as well as the backlit keyboard, you can get an insane 30 hours of battery life. On the previous one, I always kind of got around 1 day work on my settings, and you can do a lot with this one as well, and you get better performance for the same sort of battery life or even better. This BlackBook has incredible battery life, so it's so long I've even stopped looking at how much battery life I have when I'm out there at the office or taking it down to the cafe. I've gotten easily 12 plus hours out of using it, and it was just slightly turned down when it comes to the brightness. So you get an idea of how good or how long this battery can last. Video playback, if you're using it, especially with the speakers, is of course all going to change how the battery performs. And the good news is that you can go into the control panel software that Venom provides and launch the application called Control Center. Under the performance settings, there is an option to choose between quiet mode and balance mode, which has 2 sub-modes of low power and high power. Quiet mode will actually make the already quiet 014 Phantom Generation 9 become nearly silent. Obviously, the downside of this is that it will affect performance, but if you're traveling or if you're stuck at the airport and you need it to last, it is a great setup. I use the low power for nearly all my work, and I can tell you this is one of the quietest laptops that I have ever used. Obviously, the quieter you want the machine to be, the less powerful it is going to be for the longer the battery is going to last, and vice versa. So you still need the power, and a lot of it you'll still get 10 hours of battery life if you're using it in a pretty normal way. That brings us on to the fan. As I've stated, and I think we should emphasize this, the new 014 Phantom is extremely quiet. In fact, to even hear if the fan is running or not, you often kind of hold it up to your ear. I'm super impressed with this, and especially don't know how they did it, given you have a machine that is much more powerful than before. It's the same, it's got a longer battery. It's just kind of a bit mind-blowing. In the same control center, there is a battery optimization section. So there's 3 options here. You have a high capacity for a good overall long-term lifecycle. You've got a balance mode, which is suited for sporadic use on battery, like 20 or 30 minutes here and there. And then you've got stationary mode, which preserves the battery, minimizes microcharging, and it's designed more for people who primarily use the BlackBook while plugged in. And this last function is to ensure your battery doesn't microcharge. That microcharging is when the battery gets a bit of charge each time and then charges back up, like going from 99% to 100 over and over again. That process kills your battery and has killed many laptop batteries, even though the user has never actually used the laptop on battery for an extensive period. As with every Venom BlackBook Zero, since day one, Venom include 2 internationally compliant power adapters. Yep, 2. In a day and age when manufacturers are taking chargers out under the guise of being environmentally friendly, this cost saving isn't actually being passed on. So Venom provide 2, and the reasoning goes back to how they collect data. So you, by the way, can go and check out all Venom survey results that they ongoingly update every 2 years publicly on venomcomputers.com.au/survey results. If you don't already know, Venom discovered in the early days that there was, after several weeks after purchasing a BlackBook Zero, business users would order another power supply. Why? Well, because you usually set one up at home and you usually set one up at work or carry the other one around. So it becomes noticeable when you have to leave the city or you live in and want to take your power adapter with you. And if you're like me, you wire your power adapter around your desk elegantly. It's extremely annoying untangling this thing each and every time to take it on. I found this feature actually super useful when you can just keep your one in your suitcase, as an example. The wait times of getting another adapter, going to a store to get one, the costs of freighting it, etc., were unnecessarily painful and costly. So Venom were able to incorporate it into their builds from the factory, offering an enormous saving that they were able to pass on to their customers, and super convenient as well. The other thing I particularly like about how Venom do this is that they purposely do not use proprietary power supplies. These adapters work everywhere in the world. All you need to do is change the power cord to suit your wall plug wherever you are on Earth, and they are certified globally to do so. So you can literally go to a new country, buy this, 50-cent thing, and then boom, you're in business and your whole setup work in that country. So when you order from shopvenom.com, it will come standard with your region's power cable, and of course you can easily pick one up if you're in a new country. These power adapters are made by the world's most reputable and largest power supply manufacturers, and because they're not proprietary, they are cheap and readily available everywhere. Just look at the tip, the voltage, the watts, and away you go if you find a computer source, say. This is, of course, if you lose the 2, kind of comes standard with it, so you're probably not going to need to do that anyway. Venom will still happily also sell you one, of course. The idea though with Venom's thinking is that if you don't have a problem, you don't need it to be fixed in the first place. And it's cheaper for both the customer and for Venom for you not to have a problem, and they love not having to hear from their customers. And ultimately that's what a good manufacturer should do. It means there are no problems at all. And the same thinking is what led to the external USB recovery drive, which ships with every single BlackBook. So simple and relatively costless, but still nobody is doing this. I've thought this before, and I can maintain that it has to be because the 20 to 25 bucks that item for that USB stick, if included with every notebook that every manufacturer typically produces, it kind of compounds. And if, for example, you make 10 million laptops, then it's $200 million. And why spend that if you can open a call center in like a developing country for the less? And if manufacturers only put it in their premium laptops, then you kind of educate the market to expect it on their cheaper ones as well. Now, this isn't a problem for Venom. Their primary markets are the same as the markets you and all we live in, and they know your time is also super valuable. And instead of waiting on hold, speaking to someone somewhere else in the world to fix an issue, they would prefer to empower you to be able to run your own factory recovery yourself with the provided external drive whenever you might need to. This also means that update that failed or that drive upgrade that you performed can easily be fixed, all by inserting the provided external drive 3, 4, 5 years after making a purchase and bringing your BlackBook back to factory settings. I mean, why would you put the recovery partition into a laptop's inbuilt drive when it's that same drive that gets corrupted or fails? Also, if you decide to upgrade that drive in the future, you lose your image partition. Clearly, most manufacturers don't believe that your time time is as valuable as theirs. However, Venom have solved the #1 reason you contact technical support by providing you with that external drive at their cost, so you don't have to contact anyone if you need to do it. Prevention is, of course, certainly better than a cure. Touching on tech support, venomhelpdesk.com is the main portal you go through to access Venom. They have a global support desk located at venomhelpdesk.com, and these guys do everything differently. So when you get your BlackBook, you register it on venomhelpdesk.com. They don't share your data with shopvenom.com to protect your privacy, so you do need to do that separately. Once your BlackBook is registered, you have access to a world of support. This may not suit everyone, but if you use it the way in which it's intended, I think it is excellent. Open a ticket, you'll get written instructions, a link, or maybe even a call from a proper technician. And they can also log in remotely if you need to, and of course, if you give them permission, do so to actually fix the problem direct at your monitor on your screen right there. Failing that, Venom will pick up your BlackBook, have it repaired, and returned back to you via the same DHL Express courier that was used when you made your initial purchase. Obviously, you can only afford to do that if you don't have to do it very often, and that in itself says a lot about Venom. I initially thought these guys would kind of scrap this, but it's been years now since they've been doing this, and it's still there, and no plans to change. So the winning combination of what makes a BlackBook great depends on the winning combination of purposely designed components. So let's start with the obvious. Now, of course, the obvious, the SSD. While major players like Dell, HP, Lenovo, and Apple often don't disclose their SSD speeds, the BlackBook stands out with its lightning fast SSD. Its performance is staggering, clocking in at nearly 7,000 megabytes per second on Crystal Disk Mark tests. This speed is about twice as fast as Apple's quickest drives and 2 to 4 times faster than those in Dell and HP machines. This matters because the speed at which data sets are accessed often determines application performance. So imagine your files in a huge rusty filing cabinet, and even if the person, which is the CPU, is fast, slow retrieval from the cabinet, the drive slows everything down. Fast SSDs relieve the processor and the memory, creating a balanced, efficient system less prone to stress and early failure. And it also keeps the system cooler, reducing fan usage. The SSDs in the BlackBook 014 Phantom are not just fast, they're among the most durable available, akin to those in smartphones. So since 2010, Venom has only produced SSD-equipped BlackBooks, ensuring longevity and relevance. And their non-proprietary nature means you can also upgrade them for yourself, with sizes ranging from 500 gigabytes all the way up to 8 terabytes. Memory-wise, options range from 8 gigabytes to an impressive 64 gigabytes of the latest DDR5 RAM. Memory is crucial, of course, for multitasking. 8 gigabytes don't just cut it anymore, so a minimum of 16 gigabytes is recommended, with 32 gigabytes being ideal for serious users. And unlike many ultra-portables with soldered, non-upgradable memory, the BlackBook's RAM can be upgraded, providing flexibility and, of course, future-proofing. Graphics-wise, gone are the days when dedicated graphics cards were mandatory. The BlackBook's Intel Iris Xe graphics are sufficient for gaming, video editing, and professional applications like Adobe Suite. It even handles 4K video in Adobe Premiere and can run several AAA game titles. This performance is remarkable for integrated graphics, especially in an ultra portable, and the GPU meets Adobe's Premiere system requirements, making it suitable for a wide range of tasks, including high fidelity video calls and multitasking, especially in remote work scenarios. This all assists with multitasking, which is especially helpful with remote work, and it's also why the BlackBook 014 can support 3 screens, 2 externally and its own screen natively without a docking station via the inbuilt ports, which I will cover just in a moment. There are no trade-offs with this ultra portable, especially when you consider the size, the weight, the battery life, the power supply, and the overall functionality. What you continue to gain again with the Phantom are the ports. When about 2 to 3 years ago, most most manufacturers had removed all their ports and reduced them to Type-C ports alone or silly other things, Venom kept them all. Now you have Apple bringing them back and kind of parading it around like they've done something really profound, and they've even put the Type-C port into the new iPhone 15, eliminating their own proprietary port. It's amazing to see Venom sticking to their guns and keeping ports while adding meaningfully new ones. It's a long-sightedness that is most impressive. And let's start with the also important USB Type-A. This of course is the USB port that everyone is familiar with, the one that lets you plug pretty much anything into it, and this without needing to carry any dongles, port replicators, or of course docking stations. Now there's a backward compatible USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port, Type-A, here on the right hand side, as well as a Type-C USB 3.2 one here on the left hand side. This is super helpful. And next one up on the right is the USB 3.2 Type-A port, which is your typical USB port. There is also one here on the left. Next up on the right is a full-size HDMI port for monitors and nor video, and it sends audio as well. So when you have dedicated power jack, which means when you plug it into an AC, you are not using one of the Type-C ports. So more ports equals good in my opinion. So back on the left, you have a 3.5mm audio jack for speakers and or a mic, which is super handy, and a full-size SD-XC card reader for whatever device you are using, like a camera or whatever, or a drone, if that's what you need. And you can also use a micro SD card inside an SD card converter. So it's a super well set up for all of that. Then there's the USB Type-A and a Type-C, and at the back is the Kensington lock slot. So if you need to tie it to a desk, you can of course lock it here. This is important of course if you require security cables, if you're in an office or an area that requires the unit to be locked down. It has a provision of course to do that. And for someone who goes to lots of different offices for presentations, I personally love how Venom have left all these ports in here. And the power button was on the side before, but now some people apparently couldn't find it, so they moved it back onto the keyboard. It's up here on the top right hand side. It may take some getting used to, but it's not a big deal. Now, the old faithful full-size HDMI port and the USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port means you can run two external monitors natively without a docking station if you want to, and that still have extra free ports. Now, a full-size HDMI port should not be underestimated. It's the most basic connection to connect to whatever you want to go to, a TV, a monitor, a projector, you name it. Thunderbolt 4.0 delivers a remarkable 40 gigabytes per second in bi-directional bandwidth, allowing rapid data transfer to and from external storage. It supports chaining up to 5 Thunderbolt devices, all powered through a single port. This port maintains compatibility with earlier Thunderbolt versions, USB, DisplayPort, PCIe, and standard USB-C connections. Venom has also engineered this to handle both data and video signals, enabling you to transmit signals to an external 4K monitor. You can connect up to 2 4K 60Hz DisplayPort or HDMI monitors via a compatible dock or adapter, or directly to the Thunderbolt designated monitors. This port also allows for high-speed external Thunderbolt SSD connections, expanding storage with speeds comparable with internal drives. It accommodates various USB peripherals, including mice, keyboards, controllers, and headsets, and supports PCIe devices through a PCI expansion chassis, useful for devices like video capture tools or for live stream gaming, of course. It also equipped for networking, allowing connections to be high-speed 10 GB Ethernet networks with an adapter, or linking two computers via a peer-to-peer network using a Thunderbolt cable, facilitating the transfer of large data volumes between PCs. Notably, the Phantom is compatible with any Display Link certified or Thunderbolt certified dock, perfect for co-working spaces where you just want to get there and plug straight in. This transforms the Phantom into a comprehensive desktop setup. It transitions smoothly from portability to a productivity desktop experience really well. In terms of connectivity, the Phantom boasts Wi-Fi 6 via Intel's AX201 card, known for its rapid updates and robust security. So while backward compatible, it thrives with a Wi-Fi 6 router, offering speeds up to 3 times faster than the prior 802.11 AC standard. It efficiently manages network traffic, provides substantial client capacity, and operates on low power. The 014 utilizes target wake time for power efficiency and taps into previously unused faster radio frequencies. Its multiple data streams operate simultaneously, not sequentially. Additionally, it includes Bluetooth 5.2 with LE audio support, anticipating the rollout of new energy efficient, high quality audio devices. The 014 Phantom also incorporates TPM 2.0, a global standard for secure crypto processors, which they safeguard hardware with cryptographic keys, ensuring platform integrity. This hardware level security offers more robust protection than software-only approaches, originating from standards set by the United States Department of Defense. TPM is essentially for Windows 11, and it's Windows 11 Professional, which comes standard on this BlackBook. On the specifics and comparison around configurations, Venom consistently offers more value for your investment, particularly with configurations set at 16 gigabytes or 1 terabyte, or even at 32 gigabytes. The 64 gigabyte option, not available with competitors, further underscores this exact point. This assessment doesn't even account for the myriad of minor and major advantages I've detailed throughout this review. For those browsing in this price bracket, I maintain that you'd be hard pressed to find a better alternative, as I'm convinced that these are premier ultra portable laptops available for purchase. As highlighted at the beginning of this video, pricing is accessible in 6 different currencies, starting at a 1199 US, 2099 Australian, 1549 Canadian, 949 pounds, 1099 euros, and 2079 New Zealand dollars. My personal recommendation leans towards the mid to high end models, where the intersection of performance and the value truly shines. It's incomparable when it comes to the others. And ideally, I would opt for at least 32 gigabytes of RAM. Venom's warranty approach deviates from the norm, extending for what is considered a fair and reasonable duration, which is also important to understand. I'll delve into the specifics in a moment, but you can find comprehensive details by visiting shopvenom.com and selecting info, then Shop Venom warranty. You'll find it all in there. Every BlackBook acquired via shopvenom.com is protected by a global warranty. Should you encounter the need for repairs, Venom commits to a hassle-free process. They'll collect it, repair it, and return your BlackBook at no additional cost, utilizing the same expedited courier service that delivered your laptop initially. Rest assured, full technical support is also at your disposal online throughout your warranty period. So beyond that, as long as your BlackBook serves its intended function, Venom pledges ongoing support through venomhelpdesk.com, even beyond your warranty's expiration. You can't really say much fairer than that. Venom operates on the principle that each BlackBook should endure for a period that's both fair and reasonable. So what exactly does that mean? Well, it implies that a BlackBook, when used correctly and for its design purpose and maintained in a clean state, should have an extended lifespan. So provided there's no evidence of accidental damage or misuse, Venom typically commits to upholding the warranty for any BlackBook for a span of 3 years, with the exception of the battery, which, being a consumable item, naturally diminishes over time. Why are there no extended warranties? Well, the rationale is simple. You don't require one. Extended warranties don't present any additional benefits necessarily and don't deviate from what's already inclusively provided as standard. Remember, Venom's renowned trade-in program turns today's customer into tomorrow's supplier. So this means if you invest in one of their products and maintain it well, ensuring it still powers up, they will offer a cash reimbursement for up to 7 years when you've purchased your next BlackBook. This process allows you to acquire a new device and grants you a 30-day window to return your old BlackBook, affording ample time for data migration and system setup verification before sending back your previous model. And Venom compensates you in a cash up to $500, provided the device powers on and boots into Windows. This isn't a mere store credit we're talking actual cash, and your traded in unit undergoes refurbishment, secure data is erased, and is potentially resold to a customer in a different region, thereby avoiding the wasteful fate of becoming landfill or recycled material. And this practice transcends mere economic benefits, addressing the real environmental implications of e-waste. This initiative underscores a genuine commitment to sustainability. Here's a laptop designed with a life cycle that extends beyond a single single user, refurbished and passed on for a continued use. It's a truly eco-conscious approach to technology. Very, very impressive. Now, the realm of computing is arguably the most fiercely competitive of all industries, and sifting through the vast sea of information available can be an overwhelming task. If you've journeyed with me to this point in my review, I trust you found the depth of insight I've endeavored to provide valuable. And considering the myriad of factors that demand attention while making such a pivotal purchase, it's clear why the majority of reviews out there fall short, and being truly helpful, prompting me to create this type of video. My aim has been to articulate why, in my view, the Venom BlackBook 014 Phantom stands unrivaled as the premier ultra-portable notebook for business and productivity purposes globally. I wish you immense satisfaction in using your Venom BlackBook 14 Phantom, and I pledge to keep the spotlight on these remarkable devices. Put simply, this is an exceptional laptop which I think you should get around. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time on the Deep Tech Dive.